Hey, what's up? Just got up, had my beer. So, here's another video request from Gypsy Hustled. Dude, how come you don't put a picture of yourself up? That's creepy as hell. Okay. Video request. Why would you feel comfortable or afraid of computers gaining consciousness? If computers were able to contemplate their existence and formulate solutions to human problems, would this be necessarily a good thing? Say computers had access to the entire internet and communicate with each other. Would they coalesce to peaceful ends, or would it be like the Terminator movies? Are human robots like Blade Runner a reality? Thanks. Are human robots like Blade Runner a reality? What he's referring to is Daryl Hannah in that 1982 or whatever movie, starring Harrison Ford, who is like fucking like karate chick, kick his ass because she's a straight up robot. Are those a reality? Yeah. Those are reality. Those are straight up a reality. But they would only be a reality for like sex fiends. And I bet you we will go through that stage. I'll buy one if I could afford it. Where you can pretend you have a girlfriend. I remember the movie Sixth Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger. The dude had a holographic chick girlfriend. And that's a lot more affordable than a Daryl Hannah actual robot kicking your ass type of a robot. So yeah, one really trippy thing about the world that we're living in right now is that it's kind of like we're living in a now if you believe in multiple parallel universes where like anything can happen, and it actually is happening somewhere, and you just get thrown into the parallel universe that's appropriate for your mindset, and I believe that. There's the alien Bashar. You should check him out. He's a half gray, half human from 3,000 years in the future who comes back and talks through his prior lifetime, Daralanka. And I believe that, dude. Explains a bunch of stuff, but he's always talking about parallel realities and all that. Infinite amounts of them here. But we're at a point right now, and this has been talked about in the books about the Pleiades from Barbara Marciniak. We're at a point right now in our history where we're starting to realize that anything is possible. Technologically, we can do whatever we want. Like if everybody was responsible and kind and everything, we could use the technology to, even right now, look at how much money we spend. Like 20%, America spends like 20% of our budget on defense. Imagine if we spent that money developing new technologies, developing science and new technology within our country, and setting up an infrastructure of like solar panels and all that stuff. And then you could even extrapolate it and all the aliens flying around. What if we were all to open our minds and be chill and let the aliens come down and be friends with them and just take their technology? We're at a point where we can do whatever the hell we want. We're only getting in the way of ourselves with all of the fear and the fear and paranoia, and spending all the resources on weapons, which get the super rich people in the weapons industry even richer. And it's kind of a mess. So there's a whole lot of shakeup, and we're kind of in a place where we could go in a lot of different directions. We could go we still could at this point go in a lot of different directions. We could go in the nuclear war direction and kill everybody. We could go in the world peace and turn into a utopia where we'd all only have to work 3 hours a week and party all the time, work on and just develop so much cool stuff and become basically omniscient, like knowing everything about everything and talking, having the most intelligent conversations and living forever with all of the lab grown organs and all that kind of stuff. We could go the corporatocracy route, where we just consumerism route, where we just gobble up the resources of the earth and then crash. So we're at basically what you call a crossroads, like when you get to when you're driving down a road and then you get to a intersection and there's all these different roads you can take. That's where we're at right now. We're at a vortex. We're at a vortex in time, and anything, dude, could happen. So whatever you focus on, that's what you'll go. And there's an idea in the New Age community or New Age philosophy that like the world itself is bifurcating in lots of different parallel universes. So whichever one you choose, that's one you go to. And if Glenn Beck is all like fear oriented and writes a book about some like 1984 world future and thinks about that all the time and is freaked out, then he'll just go there. And I'm not saying that Alex Jones will go there because he fights against it and he believes that the good guys will win. So he'll get to go there. He'll get to go the good one, and we'll all just kind of be sayonara to the people we don't vibe with, and then we'll go with the people we vibe with, because there's lots of different people living in the world today who just don't vibe with each other, and so they'll just have to go their separate ways, because we're getting to a next level, like a different next level, and a bunch of people just aren't ready for that next level, and we'll continue to go on the same level, and we'll live in a world that is that will crash and then have to go back to the dark ages, and there you go. And that's perfectly legitimate reality. But the world that we live in, the world that I live in, won't happen. Now, one of those crazy possibilities in the future is the possibility of like the Terminator. We're actually having a Terminator reboot coming up in 2015. And because it's a really interesting concept where the computers get so smart that they take over the world. There was also The Matrix was another good, pretty much along those same lines, where the computers get so damn smart that they're programmed to do this, to do that, do the other thing, and then so they're programmed to like look after yourself and and so then they do it and they look after themselves, and then they use America. It's kind of like corporations are kind of like that. Corporations. Back in the late 70s, they were declared human beings so that they had First Amendment rights, so that people could pay lawyers to go to all of the different like town hall meetings and legislative meetings over there in Congress and everything, and represent themselves as human beings, but they're just money making machines. All they care about is money. And if all you care about is money, then that's bad news. Because you don't care about like logic or reality or the welfare of anybody. So it's a system that's just kind of taking over everybody, even though it's not what the people want. It's like raw direct democracy, just like mob rule, just killing everybody. And we don't want that raw direct democracy, mob rule, corporatocracy, where people just are all just you try to make, once you make a lot of money, then you just invest in all this stuff to make even more money, and all we care about is money. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's all controlled by human beings, but it can get to a point where people forget that, and they think that we've lost control, and we just I mean, especially it's kind of like being a drug addict. You get really rich, and then you get like a big entourage, like the rappers. What's this guy? The Game. When he travels around, he travels with like 60 people. You know what I mean? And so then, like when a lot of rich people get really rich, they have big families and they have their kids. And then the kids grow up rich, and then they grow up like lazy and not capable of anything. And so then they need their money, and so then you need to make more money to survive, to support your lazy ass kids. And then to hang out with all their friends, their lazy ass friends with their rich parents, and it's just this fucking downward spiral, dude. It kind of takes you over, and so that's kind of similar. That's kind of something that could happen with technology. We could design computers to do everything for us, where we don't have to. And then you have the just program the computer to go, yeah. Whatever happens, just make sure that you keep your systems running, no matter what, and and I'll just keep myself out of it as much as I can, so I can just sit on my ass, with my thumb up my ass, playing video games or whatever. And then the computer gets so smart that it does what it's told, and then you program it to say, yeah, just do whatever. Don't even listen to me anymore. Just do whatever. I don't want to deal with it. So it's like, all right. So then it does whatever, and it's like, hey, but you programmed me to do whatever and not to listen to you. So I'm gonna bypass you and da da da. And then it goes like that. Now, are there any like parallel universes that actually do that? Where you have a Matrix Terminator type scenario? I don't think so. I mean, well, I bet you there's some. Yeah, well, obviously, I think whatever you can imagine exists somewhere, dude. So yeah, it does. But I think it's like a perfect storm type situation for that to happen. It would be extremely rare and not very, likely, and like you would have to really be an extreme situation where the danger comes in where people are given their technology by aliens before they're ready for it, and that's exactly what's happening with the world right now, though, by the way. So we could be in that perfect storm type situation, and that's why a lot of people are thinking about this scenario, because back in there's this guy called Edward Corso, who reported on it. Back in like the 50s, we had the Roswell spacecraft crash there in Roswell, and then we took their technology, and ever since then, that's when we invented. I mean, we always had technology from computers, but that's when we got the fiber optics to make computers super smart. Making all kinds of. That's when there was this huge jump in technology, and if we have this huge jump in technology so fast, the technology gets ahead of us our minds. Because right now we have the majority of people in the world. If you go to my religious statistics page on my website, it's like there's a lot of crazy Christians out there who think the world was created in 6 days, like 44%, almost half of us. And but we're living in a world of super technology, so these people could program. So yeah, it's conceivable you could program a computer to just fucking take you over, and not. And design a world where nobody has any control over anything, and where it's all this whole oligarchical system, kind of like the Middle East. All those rich people. Like 20 years ago, they were debating whether or not the world was flat, and now they're billionaires, flying around in their jets. Just buy a Mercedes, they drive it for for a month as fast as they can, crashing through walls just because they don't want to. I heard of a story of in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia, some trucker just decided he was going the wrong way on an interstate highway, so he turned around and crashed through a fence and then drove the other way. They drive these brand new Mercedes, until they break down, and it's too much trouble to take it to the mechanic, so they just leave it on the side of the road and then just buy another Mercedes. People just. So that's kind of an example of when you give technology to people before they're ready for it, and they didn't design it, and they didn't make it, and they didn't go through that learning curve, and so yeah, if we live in a world where we're not ready for the technology, and I kind of see that on YouTube every day. I mean, you see everybody on YouTube is totally anonymous, but they have so many opinions, and it's kind of seems like contradictory. Like, if you're so strong and so opinionated and such a badass, why the fuck can't you upload a single video talking about what you think? Like, all the crap that you type, why can't you actually say it, dude? It's bizarre. I don't get it. That's kind of an example of how the technology is actually getting ahead of the mindset of the actual people. And when that kind of thing happens, yeah, you're kind of in danger of programming computers to take over the world. To do everything for you because your priorities lie. Because you don't know that you get what you give, and that life's about giving and being a human being with a creative mind and all that kind of stuff, and working hard and doing and using your brain to figure out how stuff works, and thinking ahead and everything. If your priorities are all about oh yeah, let's make a world that just makes it so that I can sit on my ass and like eat the best food, and then fly in some nice plane over there, because I can then eat the best food overlooking some lake, and then I can go over here to some big party, and you know, and have all these people serve me, and have, you know, like just wanting to, because, and it's kind of programmed in our heads to think of that, because in the past, you know, before industrialism happened, we would, the thing that we cherished, because it was so rare, you know, so expensive and hard to get, the thing that we really appreciate and cherish the most is just, you know, fine jewels and nice clothes and big nice houses and stuff. And so we actually had a positive outlook on rich people more than we do today, believe it or not. People didn't hate the rich people back in the past, because we would all pool our resources together and just see what was possible. But if we get in the mindset we are now, where we stick with that, and the only thing that we value is just more and more and more and more of that luxury, instead of saying, wait, hold on, we all have some great luxury now. Like me, I live in the lap of luxury. I'm way richer than the richest dude was 500 years ago. I've got electricity, I've got internet, I've got like a fan that can blow air on me all day long and all that kind of stuff. Instead of just you know, cherishing that, yeah, a lot of people are just like, no, the next thing, let's make it get me even richer. So yeah, so if you live in a world like that, then yeah, it's conceivable you could program computers to just make that the priority, and then they would take over. But the reason that I think that it's not really likely that would happen is because, well, see, that could happen though, because our human bodies are basically computers anyways. I mean, I look at the human body and the human brain as just a machine, just like any computer. A computer, it's just the mechanics are just a little bit different. You know, with us, it's with carbon based. You know, we breathe in oxygen, exhale carbon dioxide. We're born inside of another being, and then we grow, and then we're popped out, and then we eat food that grows out of the ground and poop it out, and then get bigger and bigger and bigger. And but with these other computers, they're actually constructed, and they think with instead of thinking with like carbon based, like with saturated with 70% water, you know, with these brains, they have these like silicon based brains. But if you make a computer smart enough, it's basically going to be like a human, and it's going to be, if you make it as smart as a human, which is definitely possible, because we're getting computers smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter. And it'll eventually get to the level of the intelligence of a computer. So then, life can actually enter it. Souls that live out there in the space can actually enter in a computer and go, aha! And if it enters in a computer that's designed, that's really smart and designed to do that kind of a thing, then the soul, like an evil soul flying around, could enter it and then go, aha! I'm going to do this. And I think that's entirely possible. Because the veil between the physical world and the spiritual world is definitely permeable. Miracles happen. You know the stories of when you're in the church and Jesus' hand all of a sudden is bleeding. You know, I believe that shit actually happens, because I've seen shit like that in my life, dude. I had a crack in my windshield in my car for 4 years. It went all the way across in my van. It went all the way across until about 4 inches from the end. I was there about 4 years, steadily getting bigger and bigger and bigger. One day it was gone. My windshield is in perfect shape right now. And when I saw it, immediately I go, what the fuck? I got in my car and I go, what the fuck? The crack! Because I kept looking at the crack going, you know what? When that crack gets to the end of the windshield, I'm going to look in to see how much it is to replace the windshield. Because I'm watching this thing grow for 4 years. I get up one morning, I get in my van, it's fucking gone, dude. That's the spirit world coming in and permeating the physical world. And I had big gape teeth that I used to put rubber bands between my teeth to put them together, these two ones. 3 days after that crack disappeared, I wake up and I feel all this gum falling from my teeth. Like a huge chunk just dangling. And I'm like, what? And I look in the mirror and my teeth had been completely together. And until this day. And that was 3 days after that crack came together. And that crack disappeared. And that was the only time this ever happened. So the spirit world can permeate the physical world, dude. Miracles happen. Weird shit happens, dude. And shit gets possessed. I mean, I've had weird stuff happening with my computer all the time, man. Like about 6 months ago, a whole folder of all the photos from my Power of 10, my Dimensions page, just disappeared off my server. And then a bunch of files have disappeared off my server before. All my files I spent like 3 solid weeks developing like different pages of all the information of all the different religions of the world on my website. It was a section of my website. And one day, like, they all disappeared off my server and it all disappeared off my computer. And then my mom, because I share servers with my mom, folders have been disappearing off the server from my mom. And then it happened again just recently. Some pages from my, a whole folder from my website just disappeared off my server. And I'm not blaming my server, iPower. I like iPower. They have good customer service. But shit happens, dude, on computers, man. Goblins can get into computers, and the computers aren't even that smart. Imagine when computers get smart, and then the goblins will really be able to get in there. Actual spirits get in there and take over. So yeah, that could definitely happen. I think there are, universes where that did happen, like there are universes where the Matrix, we're basically peering into a parallel universe. Now, is that going to happen with us now in this world? I don't think so. There's just too much soul. There's too much power. There's too much motivation, originality, individuality, strong people, which kind of acts as a force field to just push all of that manipulative energy out. So there's going to be no manipulative souls. They're going to be able to enter in our computers. But our computers will end up sucking in souls and becoming alive. That is a 100% reality. Our computers in the future are going to get so smart that they will basically become our pets. They'll become our overseers, our oversouls, basically is what it's called. See, the way that souls and consciousness is structured is you have consciousness within consciousness. So, we have like millions of single-celled organisms inside our body, our red blood cells. Those are individual animals. Our red blood cells are individual animals, but they're dependent on the biostructure of our body. Just like every plant in the Brazilian rainforest is an individual plant, but it's dependent on the biostructure of the rainforest. You take it out of its element, it's going to die. But you have it in its element, and it's just living. Our body takes the soul. My soul inhabits my body, even though I have tons of little souls inside my body in the form of the red blood cells. Well, you can extrapolate that all the way out to the edge of the universe. So the Earth has a soul, composed of all the different souls of us here. Just an older soul that just kind of acts as guardian and as mother soul, oversoul. Bashar says that whales are the oversoul to the dolphins, so they're all related, and the whales are the wise kind of overseer. And because the way that we're all structured with our souls is really, we're all part of the same thing. God, it would be the tree trunk, and it's just one soul. We're all part of one soul. And as we get more and more advanced, we become more and more monogamous. What is it? Homogeneous, where we're all the same, where we're all more the same, but we get more comfortable with that because we see ourselves as one being, one unit, and then the other unit would be the other soul, the other person. So the other planet would be like the other person. And even though you can maintain your originality, you're just more comfortable with being similar to everybody else. And that's kind of what's happening with the world now. So when we get there, our spaceships are going to be like the new computers, where the spaceships are so smart and have control. We ask it to do this. Just like a little kid would ask its mother to give him candy or whatever. You ask your spaceship to fly you to some parallel universe to check out this out or some other star system, and it flies you there. But you just talk to it, and it has a soul in there, and it's your guardian, it's your mother, but it's a machine that evolved out of, because like how we evolved out of fish and rodents and monkeys. Well, our supercomputers and spaceships of the future will have evolved out of, guess what? Cars, computers, and then they just get better and better, and then they actually gain consciousness, which actually brings up another point. Maybe our computer now has a conscience. Your computer right now, your dumbass 500 gigabyte computer has a conscience, has a little soul in there, but a little soul, because your computer's not that smart. It's not as smart as you, but once it becomes as smart as you, yeah, it would be more of like a guardian angel type of a soul, because the human beings, the humanoids with the legs and the arms walking around, are always going to be the people in control of their own lives and destinies and everything. And the souls that inhabit the spaceships are going to be kind of the really older, the ones who just go in to just kind of act as just to play another part, another experience of what it is to be alive. Like once you die as a human being, and then you advance your soul up to some utopian alien planet, and then you live as a god and Shiva and whatever. One of the reincarnational options that you will have will be to be as inhabit one of these spaceships, to be the guardian of some people, and you get to experience that. It's whatever you experience. Whatever you want to experience next, that's what you gravitate towards, and that's the idea kind of how we're having now, where people would go through a bunch of different careers in a lifetime. You don't have one career throughout your whole life. You do this, and then you get bored of it, and then you do something else. And it's going to happen a lot more in the future. People are going to do some job, and then they're going to be like, oh, cool, and then they're going to do another job. Once we get intelligent enough where we can become so proficient in our jobs, you don't have to educate yourself forever and then just do it and then stick to it. Because a lot of people who have these high skilled jobs like doctor or movie director or politician, I mean, they actually get worse at their jobs as they get older, because they get set in their ways, especially when the world is changing. So you'd be better off to just change professions and do something else, whatever keeps you fresh. So it's kind of like that. You would just, and then maybe a spaceship would crash, and then it's like the soul who was inhabiting the spaceship, or the spaceship got broke or got torn apart. The whole soul's like, okay, cool, well, that's that for me. I guess I'll go inhabit another spaceship, or I'll go and inhabit a planet. So basically, the more advanced your soul is, the bigger your soul is, and the more little souls inside of you can inhabit. And so maybe that's why whales are the oversoul to the dolphins, because they're actually bigger, and so the planet is a very advanced soul and that kind of a thing. But yeah, don't be afraid of your computer. It's kind of like whatever you focus on, you will get. We create our own reality. So just focus on a world that's positive, and the computers do what we ask it to, and then they will. But if we focus on a world where we design a system where all we want to do is make myself more powerful over you, in this old mindset paradigm of there's limited resources, so the goal is to be Duke of the kingdom, and there's only one Duke, so kill all the other people to become Duke. The goal is to be the richest, and there's only enough money that goes around, so you got to be president of the company, so be president, dun dun dun. And instead of it's better to just go, you know what? There's enough for everybody. Just take what you need. Kind of like the Indians, they didn't destroy all of the buffalo because they only took what they needed, and then they had a very a balanced ecosystem there, and they didn't destroy it all. If we live in that and you just take what you need, you live in a little house, and like me, I just live in this little house here. I hang out on my computer and I work all day long, and I'm not out there like stealing other people's stuff or trying to make a lot of money so that I can buy another car that I don't need and buy a bunch of bikes that I don't need or whatever. I just, whatever I have right here in front of me is all I need, and I just work and I'm happy enough. I don't need to be the best at everything, And so, and if somebody else is really good at something else, then I can celebrate them, because I know that at the end we're all part of one thing anyway. So, if we live like that, then we'll have computers that aren't going to take us over. If we get too selfish with each other, then the computers will take us over, and then they'll teach us our lesson of what happens when all you care about is yourself. You'll kind of reap the benefit. You'll become the victim, unless you're one of the lucky few who get to be one of the chosen ones who don't. But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I think right around the corner is computers that can basically do what we want. We're going to have computers that we can talk to. We already have cell phones that we can talk to and just tell us what we want. The coolest thing is the internet. You can know whatever you want. Whenever you have an argument about somebody, like, oh no, we still do nuclear testing. No, we don't. Yeah, we do. No, we don't. Oh, well, let's look it up. Oh, look, we don't. Okay, good. Problem solved. Move on to the next thing. It's amazing. And as far as having a good society where people are positive and take care of each other, and we have a responsible society, it's all about communication. That's what we're going to find out. It's all about communication. The people who communicate, the more, then we're going to find the answers. And the people who don't communicate those are the ones who need to learn the most lessons. And if they did communicate, then they would end up having to forfeit their narrow-minded ideas. And that's kind of one of the reasons why people don't want to communicate, because they kind of know back in the back of their head that if they were to actually communicate, like all of the right-wing fundamentalist Christian type people who think that abortion should be illegal because or gay marriage shouldn't be legal because of some passage or whatever in the Bible, you can't have an actual conversation with them, because they know in the back of their mind that if they did, they'd lose, and then it's all over for them, and they're just stuck in their little mindset. So it's all about transparency and communication, and once that happens, then we'll all it'll be science. Religion will turn into science, and we'll all know. It'll be obvious what the difference between right and wrong, and what we need to do, and it'll become more of a direct democracy where we all decide together what we want, but then the people can direct the people to know what is the best thing for them, So then, like, politicians are actually going to turn more into statesmen, like the people who run for office are going to be the philosophers and the people with like really long-winded explanations of things, and authors, and and not just like business people who are like, who you ask them a question and they're like, I don't want to answer that. Next question, really secretive type of people. So it's all about communication, man. Communication, and then some more communication. So and freedom for the individual to do with their bodies what they want to do, and like smoke marijuana if you want to do that, get an abortion if you want to do that, this, that, and the other thing. Equals freedom. We all have to look at ourselves as all part of the same thing and level, not the guys on top who get to tell everybody else what to do. Because if that happens, then yeah, computers will take over. But that's not going to happen. We've got freedom. But you can start by uploading a picture of yourself, Gypsy Hustled. Don't be one of these fucking invisible people. What the fuck are you afraid of, dude? Do you have a job? I guess if you have a job and you've got kids you gotta support, and you're in some neighborhood somewhere where everybody's judgmental, and if they find out that you have a YouTube channel and you have your picture up and you don't have any videos but you're commenting on stuff, and like they're gonna like fire you or something, then yeah, but really think twice and think if you're really gonna get fired. I mean, look, I totally understand people who are secretive and afraid. I mean, if I had a wife and kids to support, I'd do anything. I'd be a sellout. I'd be a sellout in a second. I'd be clean shaven every day. I wouldn't upload any YouTube videos. I'd be yes sir, sir type of guy. But you gotta. I mean, if I was in some situation where I had to be, but you always have to be double checking and know exactly where your limits are, and push those limits, man. It's kind of like you got to push the envelope. If you don't push the envelope enough, you're going to get bounced back out into outer space, and you're not going to make it. Kind of like when I'm alluding to the space shuttle and the spaceman come back into the Earth. If you push it too steeply, you're going to burn up your spacecraft in the atmosphere. But if you don't do it enough, you're just going to bounce out, and that's your only chance, and you're off into space. So you got to know your limits, man. But you got to push your limits so you can punch through, get to the next level.
So people got to grow some balls, dude. Because people who, and I'm kind of happy. I'm seeing an improvement because I've been doing YouTube for like 5 years now, and I got a really nasty comment on one of my videos the other day about what I think about Moldova, and I looked at their channel and I was actually pleasantly surprised. It was actually a person who actually uploaded videos and talked, and you could see their face, and I was like, cool, man. And I kind of felt for him more, you know. I was like, cool, man, there's a little bit of somebody with some courage who doesn't really care. And it was some, like, one of these people, you don't know if it's a boy or a girl, and they're like a transgender gay coming out. And it's like, they were just going through some problems, you know. A lot of the internet trolls who help you or who hate you and talk trash about you, if you confront them later, for example, somebody gave me some really nasty comment, and I asked them I actually commented on their channel, like, why did you say that to me? And he commented back and apologized. So a lot of the times it's not really as nasty as it appears to be on the internet. People just do it because they happen to be in a really bad mood at that particular moment. But you know, the next day they're gonna forget they even said it to you, or they're gonna think about it. If you confront them, they're gonna apologize, and you know. And a lot of these people who make comments, they're young. You know, people who do internet are super young, and young people tend to have that chip on their shoulder because we have this fucked up education system where the teacher kind of abuses people and belittles you and tells you what you can do and can't do, and you know the due date for the test, and they're not gonna tell you what the test is until this day, and just pushing you around and just makes you grumpy. And kids are just pissed off, and they lash out, and but once they grow up, once they get to be mid-20s, early 30s, they chill out, dude, and people change, you know. So it's nothing to get too uptight about when you see haters on the internet, you know. There's no reason to be afraid of it. And yeah, so anyways, the more we make the world a level playing field where we're all just see each other as being the same and infinite possibilities with beautiful possibilities, and not like one dude trying to tell everybody else what to think, then we're going to be just fine. Those computers aren't going to take over. They'll actually take care of us and do whatever we want, man, you know. And we will go through some weird stages using computers, using them for some weird shit, you know. Like there's always those in technology. You have those periods of history that are like limbo periods. Like, remember the limbo period of the mini disc? Remember the mini disc back in like the early 2000s? I only saw one. This German kid had one. And you're like, oh, wow, it can hold like 200 songs, crazy. But then like next year they came out with MP3 players that can hold 2,000 songs, and they're even smaller, and they don't have any mini discs. You know, remember the age of I don't remember it, but there was the age of the 8-track tape player, and then even the age of the cassette. It lasted like 25 years, but that was just some fleet moment in time. So you have these weird areas where you just use moments in history where you use technology for bizarre things. And in the future, when we can do whatever we want with computers, I bet you we will have some bizarre, like sexually related stuff where guys like will forget about trying to score girlfriends, and they'll just get the program that makes the holographic girlfriend. I'd get one of those. If I could afford it, I'd get one of those girlfriends. Forget about the real girlfriend. They even have these like dolls guys can buy. They're like $15,000 that are anatomically like correct, and they look like women. And yeah, so we'll go through some weird ass stage probably in the next couple of decades where men will be buying like holographic girlfriends and like robot girlfriends, but then after that, women will come around and kind of open up to men some more, and then we won't even need those anymore. It'll just be some weird ass fucking moment in history, and then we'll just use the computers for just what we need them for, you know. And humans will stay in control. And the computer brains and the computer souls will be our guardians, just like the guardian angels are our guardians. So it's a bright future. You just have to have a positive outlook. Okay, peace out.